Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Welcome back to the fire, friends. Every gold rush breeds two kinds of men, the ones who dig for the gold and the ones who dig it out of the diggers. Tonight's story is about the greatest of the second kind, a smiling, silver-tongued devil who never swung a pick in his life and made a fortune off the men who did. His name was Jefferson Randolph Smith, but everyone called him Soapy.
Soapy. Marty, that is the least frightening name for a crime boss I have ever heard. Where does a name like Soapy come from?
From his very first swindle, Carol, and it tells you everything about the man. Years before the Klondike on the streets down south, Soapy Smith ran what they called the prize soap racket. He would set up on a corner with a stack of ordinary soap, and he would wrap the bars in paper, and he would announce that inside some of the wrappers were folded bills, some as high as $100. He'd wave the money around, wrap it right in front of the crowd. Then he'd sell the bars for $1 each. And a man in the crowd would buy one, tear it open, and whoop, holding up a 20.
And let me guess, Marty? The man who won was Soapy's own fellow planted in the crowd.
Every single time, Carol. There was never any money in the soap the marks bought. It was the oldest trick in the book, dressed up pretty, and it made him rich, and it gave him his name. And when the Klondike broke, Soapy Smith looked north and saw not a gold field, but a river of gullible, exhausted, hopeful people flowing through one narrow place. And he went and made himself the king of that place. The town was called Skagway.
Skagway. The jumping-off town where they all landed before the passes. Oh, Marty, and he just set up shop and preyed on all of them?
He did more than set up shop, Carol. He took over. By 1898, Soapy Smith ran Skagway like his own private kingdom. He had an army of con men, 100 or more thieves and card sharps and fake preachers all working for him. He opened a saloon. He opened a fake telegraph office, Carol, where a lonely stampeder could pay $5 to wire his mother back home and get a tender reply, except there were no telegraph wires out of Skagway at all. The line ran to the back of the building and stopped. Every reply was written by Soapy's men.
A fake telegraph, Marty. He sold people letters from their own mothers that their mothers never sent. That is not just theft. That is cruel. That is playing with the loneliest, most homesick part of a person.
That was Soapy's genius and Soapy's rot, Carol. He understood that a frightened, far-from-home person will believe what they need to believe. He even ran a fake army recruiting office during the Spanish War, so he could search the men's belongings while they took the physical. He robbed them coming and going. And here is the strangest part, Carol. Soapy Smith gave to the poor. He fed stray dogs and hungry men. He gave money to build churches. He was charming and generous and beloved by many, even as he fleeced the town blind. He wanted to be loved and to rob you at the same time, and somehow he managed both.
A man who builds a church with money he stole from homesick boys. Marty, I do not know whether to hate him or feel sorry for him. But a town cannot put up with that forever, surely. Somebody stood up to him.
The decent men of Skagway finally had enough, Carol. In the summer of 1898, after Soapy's men robbed a young miner named John Stewart of a poke of gold, right out in the open, the town formed a vigilance committee, hundreds of citizens, and they called themselves the Committee of 101. And on the evening of the 8th of July, they held a meeting on the Juneau Wharf, out over the water, to decide what to do about Soapy Smith. And they posted a guard at the head of the wharf to keep him out. The guard was a surveyor and city engineer, a stubborn, honest man named Frank Reed.
Frank Reed. Marty, I have a feeling I'm going to remember that name. What happened on the wharf?
Soapy Smith came down to that wharf, Carol, drunk and furious, with a rifle over his shoulder to break up the meeting and face down the men who dared oppose him. And Frank Reed stood in his way and would not move. There were hot words. And then on the Juneau Wharf in the long July twilight, the two men grabbed each other, and the guns went off, both of them, near enough at once that no one could say who fired first. And when the smoke cleared, Soapy Smith lay dead on the boards with a bullet through his heart. He was 37 years old. His kingdom died with him that very night.
And Frank Reed, Marty? The honest man who stood in the doorway?
Frank Reed was shot too, Carol, badly, through the leg and the groin, and he lingered in agony for 12 days before he died. And Skagway buried him as a hero. They put up a fine stone over him, and on it they carved the words the town wanted to remember him by. He gave his life for the honor of Skagway. And they buried Soapy Smith not far off, in the same cemetery, under a plain marker, the Con King and the man who stopped him, lying a few yards apart on a Yukon hillside for all time.
The two of them buried within sight of each other. The one who preyed on the dream, and the one who died protecting it. Marty, that is almost too perfect to be true.
The Klondike was full of such things, Carol. And here is the little irony that finishes it. Frank Reed, the honest hero, lay dying for 12 days and the whole town prayed for him. But over the years, Carol, it is Soapy Smith the world remembers. The rascal, the charmer, the smiling devil of Skagway. They hold a wake for him every July, pour champagne on his grave. The good man got the fine headstone, and the bad man got the legend. Which tells you something, I suppose, about people and about gold, and about which stories we cannot help but love. I'm Marty Shepherd.
And I'm Carol. And tonight I will raise nothing to Soapy Smith, but I will tip my hat to Frank Reed, who stood in the doorway. Hold your people close, keep your gold in your boot, and your trust hard-earned, and come back to the fire.